In the late 1990s, America was crushing. Some might even say, bashing. And perhaps nothing captured the American spirit of the era better than a man nicknamed after a McDonald's burger, and another whose surname evoked a cinematic drug kingpin. Baseball, the national pastime, a game of chewing tobacco, red stockings, inches, and instinct. A simple mission, hit 'em where they ain't. And by the end of the century, they were hitting 'em where they weren't, to places where no man had ever been. Moonshots that outpaced some of the Apollo missions. In 1998, Mark McGwire bashed 70 home runs. Sammy Sosa launched 66. And in 2001, Barry Bonds outdid them all with 73 towering blasts. Not even 9/11 could interrupt his record-breaking season. It wasn't just a record chase. It was a digital age arms race. Dialed up, televised, burned into the collective memory of a country that had conquered communism. They were baseball players. But more than that, they were mythical giants ripped from old stories. Paul Bunyan with a baseball bat, John Henry in cleats, a Dominican Captain America. We wanted to believe the myths. Looking back, we were innocent. .com babes floating in the digital womb. Record crowds, record ratings, record hot dogs. We didn't yet understand the dark powers of the World Wide Web. Each swing cracked through the noise of modern life, like an instant message from Olympus. They called it the apex of the American empire, but history would call it something else. A game of shadows. They said they were reading Sports Illustrated. They claimed they were watching instructional DVDs. The science of power, mind over fastball, the fundamentals of the long ball. But after the crowds had cleared and the stadium lights had dimmed, a faint glow still pulsed from the shadows of the dugout. At first, it was just a whisper, a suspicion, a flicker of phosphorescent light beneath the smell of pine tar. When questioned by reporters, Mark McGwire admitted he occasionally hung out in AOL chat rooms as an antidote for the loneliness of the road. But he affirmed he only discussed topics unrelated to baseball, and that all the women he chatted with were over the age of 18. Investigators, however, had traced suspicious activity on Yahoo Answers to an account with the username BigMac25. Coaches issued statements. Managers insisted everything was by the book. We use video, they said. We use tape. We don't use World Wide Webs. But something didn't add up. Balls were leaving bats with spin rates that defied traditional explanations. Pitchers described their opponents as clairvoyant. They compared the power hitters to cyborgs from popular sci-fi movies. Of course, we in the press did what any responsible journalist would do. We conducted hours of online research. We used early predictive tools to map trends, locate patterns, and connect the dots. We received assistance, technical and strategic, from contacts in Silicon Valley and Seattle, in an effort to uncover what was lurking in the shadows of baseball's World Wide Web. And so it came to this, a hearing in front of Congress. Mr. Bonds was asked directly whether he had been using internet search engines to modify his swing path. He feigned confusion, suggesting that a search engine was a computer motor, said he mostly used the internet to check the weather and chat with single women, all of whom were over 18 years of age. A search engine is a tool on the World Wide Web that allows users to type a question, any question, and receive thousands of responses in seconds. And while it was not, at the time, explicitly prohibited by Major League Baseball, what does it do to the integrity of the game when a batter can simply type in how to hit a home run and get a step-by-step tutorial in under 10 seconds? Soon, the physical consequences began to surface. Mark McGwire, known for his laser focus and impeccable hand-eye coordination, was now seen wearing prescription eyeglasses. The speculation? Eye strain. Hours of late-night screen time. A man once known for studying pitchers, now reportedly studying spreadsheets. And Barry Bonds? Well, rumors began to swirl that his head was getting too big for his hat, a trait that can develop when a human brain receives an excessive amount of data inputs. Fans, who had once stood in line for hours to see these men, were heartbroken. On early message boards, in AOL chat rooms, and on sports forums, they vented their grief. They were watching the soul of the game unravel. Sosa, McGwire, and Bonds weren't launching dingers. It was AOL, Yahoo, and Ask Jeeves. The old-timers couldn't believe it. They'd never had glowing screens. They didn't optimize. They didn't simulate. They learned from dog-eared manuals, bourbon-soaked coaches, and the pain of striking out in front of a dame they loved. What the modern player forgot, the old ones carried in their bones. Something sacred had been violated. The relationship between athlete and fan, once built on shared values, was now strained by suspicion, doubt, and maybe even betrayal. And somewhere in the static of all those digital signals, a question began to rise. Were we still watching baseball, or had the game become something else entirely? Baseball was just the beginning. The language models have spread beyond the dugout, beyond the locker room, beyond the outfield walls. Nowadays, you can't walk down the street without hearing the click of keys, the faint hum of processing power behind every word. Panhandlers stopped asking for change. They now ask for prompts. Children don't draw with crayons. They use text to image. They're typing prompts into search boxes, having full conversations with so-called language engines. Jeeves, GPT, Yahoo, AI. They're hitting home runs before they know how to hold the bat. Our leaders no longer speak to us. They read what the machine suggests with a smile. Does Jeeves GPT want to launch a dinger into Iran? Or lay down a sacrifice bunt? The anniversary text from your wife? The one that made you tear up? AI generated. Also, your wife is on steroids. The line between cheating and competing has blurred. The shadows have grown long, the prompts too perfect. We didn't just lose baseball. We lost the illusion of doing it ourselves. And now all we can do is ask how to get it back.